Good day, everybody. Welcome to Resolve to Live Forward. It's another Friday. We are now to the 21st day of the month of November 2025. I so want to thank you, especially those of you that have taken the time to download my videos. That information is shared with me by the folks at Buzzsprout, which is the hosting platform for this podcast. Hard to believe I've been doing this now for just about 1 year. I had made not a resolution, but a promise to myself based upon my resolve mindset that I would fundamentally, effectively, and intentionally release every week on Friday by 12 noon in most cases a podcast episode ranging in time from as little as 15 minutes to up to 25, even 30 minutes or so. It still continues to be a work in progress, but I cannot say enough about how much I appreciate those of you that have been affected by my podcast and have joined me. I know it's a monologue, and I've had recommendations and suggestions, and there are some great guests who are out there that I hope to connect with as if I'm allowed to see the light of day of 2026. I will have some people coming on who will talk about the things that I am very much close to, most intimate with. Because resolve was the power word that my late wife and I together determined back in November of 2017, as a matter of fact. And with all that has happened in my life, especially after June 2nd of 2019, this word has become transformational for me, the word resolve. And equally important are the acronym RESOLVE, RESOLVE. I've said it again, I say it almost every episode. Those 7 letters in resolve stand for behaviors that I strive for and intentionally do every day. There are not always good days, and part of our conversation today is going to talk about those not so great days. And actually, the term not so great is putting it lightly. But just remember, resolve, the word that I use in terms of the definition associated with it, is one having a definite, firm plan of action. It's definite, it's firm, it's intentional. It is not negotiable. It is an empirical behavior. It's imperative. To make that behavior possible, one has to have the best personal practices for success. Those practices are the 7 letters, RESOLVE, R for resilience, E, engagement, or to engage not intentionally, engage not only intentionally, but engage what comes at you random and see it as an opportunity, not as something necessarily to avoid. It's not a perfect system, but if you take on what is coming at you, that's engaging it with intentionality. Serving the needs of those that you love, the family, taking care of yourself, but also serving others and making choices without being selfish. Letter O means organization, and organization is everything, including having a plan. But that organization also includes a definite mission, vision, and purpose. Organization means having an action plan and a series of steps and goals and having an end in mind. L, never stop learning. Lifelong learner. Love to learn. Learning, for me, is life-giving and, frankly, life-saving. V, vision. See what you want to be. See the goal. Visualize it. And keep a visionary mindset. And lastly, during the course of your day, even in the worst of days, find a way to tap into enthusiasm. In some cases, find a way to choose to be enthusiastic when There's not a whole lot to be enthusiastic about. And believe me, I get it. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk to you here about those things. And now what I want to do is I want to move into the area that I feel over the course of the forthcoming episodes as we're into the holiday season. I think they're going to be extremely important. And thank you, by the way, for watching on YouTube. I'm now updating, or not just updating, but uploading these episodes to a YouTube channel, which next time around I'll let you know how you can go to that YouTube channel and you can watch me, because I'm recording this podcast not just in an audio format, but also in a video format. And I'm actually recording it using my Zoom platform so that I have MP4s that I can upload in both audio and video. I asked this question last week, and I'm going to come back to it today. Think about it for just a second. If I were to ask you, and I'm not trying to get you to dredge up unpleasant memories, but if I were to ask you, has there ever been a place in your life where you ran into something, something happened to you, or something happened to something that was very, very, or someone that was very, very important to you, that meant everything to you, and you found yourself lost, unable to know where to go from here? The experience probably was cathartic, devastating, life-changing, life-altering, could even be possibly a situation that makes you wonder whether you want to even try to go on with living. We've all thought that way. Interesting thing too, although my experience was an experience involving a very, very deep, terrible, tragic, sudden, unexpected, and devastating death of my wife right in front of me. What's interesting is that as I've gone on the journey of understanding grieving and finding my way moving forward, I've learned from people like you that these kinds of experiences, these sudden stops that just literally hammer you to the ground and force you to be down on your knees or flat on your back or lying face down, trying to find a way to get your feeling back and be able to get up and at least look around and say, what next? It could be a job. I know from experience that I lost a job back in 1981. It's still very vivid in my mind because it was one that I loved doing. Probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And in the stroke of 24 hours, an individual walked in representing a company that had purchased the business that I was working at. I happened to have a leadership role in that business. And 24 hours after I met this individual, they came in, sat down with me in a private conversation and told me, we're going to let you go because we're going to make complete wholesale changes in the staff, team, and leadership. And we've got people already picked out who know our system and know how to operate it, and we're going to bring them in and we're going to start producing and doing our job. I couldn't believe what happened to me. Now, they gave me a severance package, and I moved on. But I never recovered from it. I had to find a new direction. Maybe I've been fortunate this hasn't happened to me, but did you have a marriage that you truly believed in? But unfortunately, it just didn't work out. You didn't want the marriage to die, but it died. And there's still that lingering pain from it as you tried to move forward, contemplating the idea of no longer having that person you loved in your life. That's a death. It's a death of a relationship. Suppose you had a job that was taken away from you simply because, as I told you with mine, there was a change in ownership. But what if one day your position ceased to exist? I've had conversations with people in recent weeks who have told me of great jobs that they had, that they were with the company. This is not a lie. I talked to a person one day that had been with the company for 35 years. And they took the job and simply eliminated it. It ceased to exist. She still had productive years ahead of her. She was able to retain and save some of the savings that she had through the 401ks, but she lost her insurance. She lost a steady paycheck. And what's interesting too, 35 years means that at the time of her being told that job no longer existed and they had nothing that they can give her in replacement for it, she thought she could take that 35 years worth of experience and market it and get another job. Just as I thought with my skills and that job that I lost in 81, I could go out and just right away find somebody else that would snatch me up. You know what? It doesn't happen very often. True, it does happen. But most of the time, when you have something taken away from you and you have that devastating point where suddenly you become no longer needed, you become useless in the eyes of the people that you had looked to provide you a safety net, that's devastating. That destroys not just your income stream, your health insurance, your benefits, and so many other things, and slowly creates a creeping crisis in your life and the life of your loved ones. But it also creates a second guessing in your own mindset of, do I have any value? Is my worth and my value gone? Especially at my age. If I had a job at my age, I'm 75, and they let me go because they wanted to do downsize, or they wanted to, I know this sounds like I'm talking about something that's supposedly illegal and against the law, but let's be real. There are implied things, and then there are things that are supposedly written. And even if it's not written, sometimes within the framework and the mindset of a particular group, they want to move in a younger direction. My friend who had been with the company for 35 years suddenly realized that even with her skill set, when she went to interview for similar positions, seeking a pay commensurate with what she was making when she was employed with this company after 35 years, she didn't have any value to them. I can't help but think that part of the reason why is that if they're going to invest in somebody, they want to invest in somebody that they have the idea they could be keeping around for 10, 15, 20, 25 years or even more. It was a move towards a younger leadership base. Doesn't sound fair, but guess what? Life is not fair. I'll also say this. A lot of people don't like this particular phraseology, but life sucks sometimes. Maybe life sucks more than you think. Maybe it sucks very often. But the point is, life isn't fair. And it wasn't intended to be fair. Life is fairly difficult. But I am not discouraged. Here's the thinking process that I'm sharing with you as my kitty cat moves across my screen. You can be what you resolve in your mind to be. It's a mindset. But you have to first figure out how you're going to deal with the pain, with the difficulty, with the anguish, with the hurt, with the loss, with the rejection. A feeling like you no longer have value. I am complete only if my wife is with me. That's still true to this day. I'm not the person that I was before Donna passed away on June 2nd, 2019. But the life that Donna gave me, the lessons that Donna taught me, the quality of the humanity of this woman that was my life partner for 46 years are still with me. At the time of her death, those 46 years represented a full 2/3 of how long I had been living. So she was largely responsible for who I was at that point. Would it have done her a service and spoken to her legacy if I had simply curled up into a fetal position or into a ball, quit, gave up, and waited to die? And believe me when I tell you, there are some people that they see no hope. They can't get past the event. One of the things that happened to me in 2019 after Donna's death was a series of events. And these events were, I think, miracles, and also markers along the road as I began to struggle and claw my way out of that hole and towards beginning to get up and start moving forward. One of the events that happened to me was a TED Talk. I was told of a TED Talk speaker. Her name is Nora McInerney. I don't mind sharing her name with you. You can go to Google and look up on YouTube and type in Nora McInerney. And she has, I think, at least a couple of TED Talks. But the one I heard had to do with you don't move on from death, you move forward with death. Now, if you can find a way to move forward and take that loss and carry it with you and use it to motivate you and use it to drive you to greater success and to pay forward the gift that was given to you by that thing that was so precious to you, if you can do that, then what you're doing is you're not letting that event define you. You are taking that event and framing it so that it becomes part of the core of the message you give to people. And one of the things that I want to do when I give my speech at the TEDx Lake Alfred, Florida event coming up on February 21st of 2026 is to talk about how this resolve power word that my wife helped me pick back in November of 2017, and then the 7 behaviors in the acronym of resolve that would be the behaviors that I would practice and she would practice and that I still practice to this day, each and every day. Those became powerful tools, but I needed to have things in my life that reinforced or opened my mind or changed my thought process or gave me encouragement or inspired me and pointed me in the right direction. And Nora's basic statement was, a lot of you out there don't know how agonizingly traumatic a grief experience is when you watch a loved one die. A lot of you out there don't know how agonizingly painful and almost horrifying it is to see a marriage be destroyed, one that you wanted to work, or lose a job that you gave your all in all to and you were qualified to do and you did it well and you were excellent, and then suddenly it ceases to exist. Do you know that even a house fire and losing precious valuable keepsakes, I've been through that too. It happened in 1990. Somebody would say, John, you've had a lot of terrible things happen to you in life. No, I've had some landmark things that have happened to me in life that have forced me to have to make choices and decisions and make a determination. Do I keep going forward or do I simply give up? And in my vocabulary, one word that I refuse to allow to define me is quit. I just don't get quit when it comes to choosing to live with intentionality or choosing to simply wait to die. It goes back to the refrain that I talked about from Andy Dufresne in The Shawshank Redemption. So many rich pieces of information there in that incredible incredibly amazing screenplay that was based upon a novella that was written by Stephen King. And he'd done everything he could. As far as we know, based upon what we know, he never actually committed the crime, thought about it, but he didn't do it. But he was nonetheless blamed for it, convicted for it, unjustly, falsely, and was in prison for life with no hope of parole. And he had every opportunity to hopefully maybe get a chance to prove that it never was true, it didn't happen, but that last vestige was taken from him. And then he said those words to his friend Red, who was the closest friend he had in the prison. I guess it comes down to this: get busy living or get busy dying. It's an amazing story. If you haven't ever seen The Shawshank Redemption, I have to tell you, it is at the top of my list of about 5 to 10 very, very favorite motion pictures that I would watch again and again because the story still touches me. But the point I'm trying to say is that any situation that you're currently in, and there are some far, far worse than what I've even gone through, I want you to understand, I'm not asking you to feel the least bit sorry for me. I feel bad for you. But I also want to tell you, I have learned, and I thank my wife for prompting me after I received that challenge to choose a power word rather than make New Year's resolutions. I want to thank my wife for making me knuckle down, find that power word, and further, make that power word come alive through behaviors. You're going to have events take place in your life that are going to alter you. And just as you can get an injury that leaves a scar, and it heals completely, but there's still that scar, our lives emotionally are full of emotional scars. And if we put any kind of focus on them from time to time, they're going to draw some pain. And if we're not careful, we're going to be feeling sorry for ourselves. And we have a right to, in a sense. I mean, after all, as far as I'm concerned, this was an injustice. But here's the point I wanted to make, and this is what Nora said. Nora McInerney said, don't ever let somebody tell you you know how to move on. You've got closure. You've learned from it. She's better off. You can move forward. There's something out there for you that's new. And it's true that there is something out there for you that's new. But you're never going to forget that thing you lost because it was priceless. It was precious to you. So if it is, what are you going to do with it? You're going to find a way to frame it, put it into your repository that is the personality that is you, and you're going to start one foot in front of the other and move forward, living your life as fully as possible, always knowing that you have a system of behaviors that will put you in a place where you can cause things to happen in your life that will move you forward, bring you joy, make you a more caring and giving and selfless person, and frankly, give you a reason to want to live rather than die. It is what it is. Resolve's the power word. Living forward is the behavior. This podcast is all about that. This podcast is, by the way, made possible by the podcast hosting platform Buzzsprout. If you're a podcaster or thinking about starting your own podcast, if you've got your ideas together and you're in a position to produce this podcast, whether it's an audio podcast or a video podcast, let me recommend that you use a podcast hosting platform. I use Buzzsprout. And Buzzsprout is reasonably priced, but best of all, What Buzzsprout does is I upload this podcast to their site. I provide the pertinent information about the particular episode, and then I schedule a time and day for it to be launched. And Buzzsprout gives me the opportunity to go into the marketing platform and select, if I wish, every single podcast platform that they provide hosting service for, or at least select the ones that I feel would be best for me. And that's the reason why my podcast can be heard and seen on Spotify and on the iTunes store. But my podcast is also seen and heard on several other podcast platforms, because at 12 noon every Friday, provided I upload the podcast in advance, Buzzsprout launches this podcast to you, so that if you see it, you hear it, and you get something from it, we've made a connection. I don't expect everybody to like my podcast, but if you do appreciate it and you do want to be a part of my family, please remember, drop me an email at johnmorrowcoaching@gmail.com. That's johnmorrowcoaching@gmail.com. But also, too, use the services that Buzzsprout offers through places like Spotify and the iTunes stores and others, so that you can leave thoughts and comments, share it, tell people about it. And if you would be so kind as to be a part of my family here in the podcast community, I would be so grateful. We will be coming back next week on the 28th of the month, the day after Thanksgiving. You know what that day is, don't you? It's Black Friday. Although, well, we'll talk about Black Friday. I think it'd be kind of interesting to talk about what Black Friday meant in my life with my wife, because we used to do the Black Friday thing and how it's changed. So that would be an interesting story, because in a sense, that's kind of sad too, because we don't see Black Friday the same way we used to. It's still around, but not to the degree that it used to be. But we'll do that next week by the grace of God. I'll look forward to seeing you. So as we wrap it up, I'm John Morrow saying thank you for joining me for Resolve to Live Forward. And I hope and pray that you do live forward, and that the rest of your day is a great day, whether you're listening to me as this is rolled out on Friday the 21st, or if you happen to pick up on it as you are scooting around podcast platforms and you find this program and you decide to listen, whatever. Just let me know you're watching, and let me know you're listening, and let me know what I can do to do a better job. And just keep me in the loop and hold me accountable, because I really have a very meaningful desire, and that's to make your life a better life, and to give you reason to live forward and to have hope. So John Morrow saying, until we get together at this time again next week, always remember, please, 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 live forward. It's the only way you can have success. So long.